Welcome back. It's now time for Game 2 of the finals of Pro Tour Chicago. Bob Maher Jr. is up 1-0 after a miraculous comeback in Game 1. As soon as the match ended, I don't think you guys could hear it, but he said, "I'd like to take a minute to thank Dave Williams for this miser's cage."
And Bob Maher is clearly the miser today.
Yes, he is. That's why they call him the Great One. I would like to caution the audience to be quiet. The players can hear, and Brian Davis does clearly look rattled right here.
He's looking down thinking, ritual, necro, after an unmask? How is that not enough?
And by the way, it's not clear that he should have conceded that game to the Null Rod. He still had 2 skittering scourges left in his library that could win the game. I mean, I guess his theory is creatures are irrelevant to this matchup. But he still had a shot. He still could draw a Scourge, could consult for Scourge. I mean, we know Bob has 1 plow in his hand, but even still, even from our point of view, the second Scourge might win the game, in theory. I don't know, I think he was clearly rattled, and he may have conceded. Maybe he just wanted to get that game over with. I mean, maybe he just wanted to conserve his mental energy. And
yeah, the odds of him winning were really slim between the plow in his hand, which he didn't know about.
It's disheartening to try.
Yeah, but the plow in his hand.
Yeah, I would certainly. I mean, I think it was not correct to concede there.
Yeah, it wasn't. It may not have been correct to concede, but the odds of him winning were extraordinarily slim.
Not nearly as large a mistake as the Wasteland on that Force of Will. The failure to Wasteland that would have let the Force away.
Right.
So the sideboards for these players, they both have some relevant cards. Brian's clearly going to take all of the creature removal out of his deck. He's going to take out the 3 Spinning Darknesses and the 4 Contagions. He should put in 2 Dystopias, 2 Nevinyrral's Discs, and 3 Persecutes. In fact, he took out both his Skittering Scourges, and he left in a couple Spinning Darknesses. So he does have a couple Spinning Darknesses to deal with Bob's creatures. And he has no creatures of his own, so if Bob has any Oath of Druids in his deck, they're dead. They're dead cards. Bob, on the other hand, has a Compost that he's able to bring in, which sounds awfully, awfully good in this matchup. And he also has a second Aura of Silence, which I'm sure he'll bring in. He has, still has the Null Rod in his main deck.
And it looks like Brian Davis has mulliganed.
Bob has 3 Oath of Druids in his sideboard right now. That means there's 1 in his main deck. That's what I would have done if I was Bob. I would leave exactly 1 card in that could deal with creatures. He doesn't know whether or not Brian's going to sideboard out his 2 Skittering Scourges. And because of the Enlightened Tutor Engine, it just seems worth that 1 slot in the deck.
Yeah, even if he sideboarded out his creatures, which is what Brian Davis did, it's not that bad a disadvantage to have 1 dead card in your deck.
Right.
And it could certainly come in a pinch.
Meanwhile, what else? Bob also has access to, let's see. Bob's current sideboard, he took out his Spike Feeder and his Shard Phoenix. His Morphling is the only creature in his deck. He took out the Feeder and the Phoenix. He also took out Trade Routes. He still has a Plow in his deck. He put in an extra Gaia's Blessing. He put in Compost, and he actually put Light of Day in his deck. He put the Light of Day from his sideboard in his deck. So Bob has 2 anti-creature cards against what is now a creatureless Necro deck. I watched Compost in action in this matchup yesterday. I watched Dirk Baborowski play Pat Chapin. And Dirk did not have the Enlightened Tutor base, so Compost wasn't nearly as good for him. Yeah, Davis mulliganed. But Dirk randomly drew his 1 Compost, and it made Pat's game absolutely miserable. Every time he did anything, Dirk got to draw a card, and Necro just can't operate under situations like that. So there's Bob's hand. He's got 3 land and a good mix of spells. That's Ivory. Is that Ivory Mask? Or Sacred Ground?
Sacred Ground.
Oh, that's Sacred Ground, which came in from the sideboard. Tutor counterspell Sacred Ground. Takes the Tutor. That seems like the right call, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate for Bob that he doesn't have a normal land because he won't be able to have 2 mana up on turn 2 unless he draws into a land. Even the Wasteland won't give him counterspell mana. He would be able to cast like a Sacred Ground or something like that turn 2 if he wanted to.
Brian's hand, meanwhile, does not include Necropotence. I mean, that's got to be Bob's big fear, is that Brian's about to go turn 3 Necropotence, but the only way Brian does that is if he mises.
Here you go.
Draw? not a Necro.
Yeah, there's not much going on.
Nah, he's got an Unmask for next turn, but Impulse, pretty good card.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you lose the match that you're supposed to win, you're demoralized, and it's just hard to come back mentally. I mean, he hasn't really had any decisions here. His draw's fairly poor, especially considering his draw in the first game.
Well, let's end up second goal, so we're just going to do it now.
This is Brian Davis's first Pro Tour, as we keep saying. He's trying to become the third straight rookie to win a Pro Tour Chicago. But he actually does have a lot of tournament experience. We talked to some of the judges from Memphis, and he's played something on the order of 30 Pro Tour qualifiers before he finally won one. He won a 34-person UBC qualifier with a Squirrel Prison deck.
Cast counterspell.
Started playing Magic during Mirage, so does have a fair amount of tournament experience. He's one of the more active players from Memphis. And by the way, the best performance ever for a Memphis player before this tournament was 210th. He's the first Memphis player to crack the 200, top 200.
Well, he keeps drawing more ways to get rid of the counter magic in Bob's hand, so if he eventually does draw into Necropotence, he could actually come back in this game, even though he's a little down right now.
So Bob bless his counter spells back in. He's going to Impulse first. Oh, Sacred Ground. Doesn't do a lot, but stops Wasteland, so seems worth committing to the board. Oh, that beats Spinning Darkness, doesn't it? Or does it, or does it not beat Spinning Darkness? If Spinning Darkness kills a Treetop Village while Sacred Ground's in play, what happens? The damage kills it? Okay, so that does not beat Spinning Darkness.
Well, there's a card that he really wanted, and it's Enlightened Tutor. But he opts not to take it. What did he take instead?
He takes Treetop Village?
No.
Treetop Village number 3?
I don't think so. That would be really surprising if he did. Did he really? Oh, did he get duressed? Oh, if
no, that was an Impulse.
Oh, that was an Impulse? No, he got duressed.
Oh, he got duressed.
That's why he took the
Impulsed
Treetop
as a
Village.
response to duress.
Okay, yeah, that's the correct play. I knew he wouldn't take that if he...
Good play. He knew that he was going to lose the Impulse.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that he didn't have one more white open so he could get the Enlightened Tutor and use 6th edition rules to Enlightened Tutor before the duress could go off.
That's a good point.
But he's in good shape. He'll be able to hit him a couple times.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I would definitely be doing.
Oh,
geez, where did that come
off
from?
the top.
Good God. That's about the worst thing he could have dropped right there.
Worst thing for Brian. Best thing for the hometown fans. There's Consult. So Necro can hit the table right now.
Well,
and Bob only gets to draw one card this turn off Brian.
Nice talk back. Want a consultation? You want a consultation? Yeah, sure.
He does indeed consult for Necro. That's got to be what he does.
The green red aren't his Necropotence, correct? I'm assuming that. Just making sure.
Compost will really offset all that hand destruction.
Well, he didn't lose anything that bad.
No, he needs
so
to get a disc, right?
Oh, that was very good.
That was an excellent Necro. Excellent
The only really relevant card I think he lost was a Corrupt.
Yeah.
He has a Persecute, but Persecute at this point in the game is not much better than a Duress.
Right. He needs to play Necro. He needs to have Bob not draw a counterspell. Put Necro on the table. Bob drew Fairy Conclave. Now what has to happen is he needs a disc before that Compost gets Bob back into the game.